Welcome to another preview here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. We are in the thick of it. The round 2 bye is done. We have now got about 12, 13 games in a row where it's just, the spirit of footy takes over. And this week, we play against the Fremantle Dockers. It's gather round, so Adelaide Oval. It'll be a 4:20 p.m. bounce for those of us in Australian Eastern Standard Time. And it'll be a clash of two undefeated teams. And it promises to have a bit of spice, I think. And I'll explain. So, first and foremost, us. A solid start to the season. 3 games, 3 wins, including a rest with the bye. We brought back Jacob Wiedering, who is one of the cornerstones of the team and the structure and the way that we play. And in particular, the way we instruct our defensive mechanism. I think that's really important, particularly coming up against this side here. Now, Fremantle, they've been impressive. They've beaten the Lions. They had a really solid win against the Crows last week, which took place right after our match against the North Melbourne Footy Club. And, they're up and about. They had a few injury concerns a few weeks ago, lost a few players mid-game, including an ex-Blue, Oscar McDonald, who we wish all the very best. And, to be honest, I thought last week that it was just one too many injuries, and that goes to show, I don't watch them close enough. And I guess that's what happens with opposition teams. You just never know the full extent of what's going on inside their club and their fan base. So, having looked at it, what it promises to be is a match with plenty of contest, plenty of pressure. We are 2 of the 3 best tackling sides in the competition, and spoke to Druzy, who you will hear from after watching this video at some point. He's a YouTuber, a big Fremantle fan, and I asked him, what's the story with Fremantle? And he gave it to me in the sense of they've really put a focus on their contest and their pressure, which is why I like this matchup, because it's a matchup of similar styles. Freo don't punish as much off turnover this season anyway as what Carlton have been. And that's an interesting part for us, this added layer. I don't know if 3 games is enough of a sample size to make a declaration that the Blues have officially added this layer to their game. I don't know if we can rely on it just yet, but the reality is you come up against Fremantle, who will provide solid pressure and a solid contest, particularly at stoppage. They've got a great ruckman, and they've got 3 of the best young midfielders going around. I don't know if young is the right word. Sarong, he's not an up-and-coming midfielder anymore. He's arrived. He's averaging 36 touches a game. The guy's a superstar. Brayshaw has already entered into that echelon a while back, and they've added a different dynamic to their midfield with Hayden Young, who's one of the better kicks in the league. Kind of reminds me of Jordan Dawson. So, I'm not so worried about the individuals because I back our system and our individuals. I think you could throw up the Carlton big name players as much as what you could throw up the Fremantle big name players. And that's what excites me. This is going to be a battle of 2 systems. And this is going to be a battle of 2 teams that like to get on top in the midfield and really have earmarked that battle as what defines who they are. And I think there can be no question around the test that we get this week. Obviously, last week we play against a side who's really early they're in their formative years of their development per se, whereas Fremantle, I think most, if not all, have them in the mix for finals, whether that's 6th to 10th. I think that's where they'll be. They'll always be a strong side at home. The beauty is we play them away while we're away at a ground that we've never won at. So that'd be nice. I'd much rather play Fremantle at Adelaide Oval than Adelaide or Port Adelaide at Adelaide Oval. And so I'm really excited to be done with this first part of the season, because I feel like most, if not all, players need 2-3 games under their belt before they really get into the swing of things. And I think the opponents that we are going to come up with over the next 4 to 6 weeks, we're just going to have more layers to the context of what season 2024 is. Now, from our lens, from the Carlton lens, that Marchbank won't play. And the discussion on Monday night was around, okay, so does that automatically mean Brodie Kemp comes in? I guess the other question is, does that mean Lewis Young is an option as well? Do we want to play, Wiedering and Lewis Young as your key position defenders, together with, McGovern, who's a great intercept player there. Then you got good ball users inside, Newman, Zach Williams, Jordan Boyd. Is it 1-2 few intercept players? I don't know what the mix will be. I think the popular opinion is Brodie Kemp, but we will wait until Thursday night when team selection comes up and see what we want to do. And, if you look at it, situationally, you got Jai Amos, who is a lot taller than what I realized, by the way. He's over 190. I thought he was like a medium-sized forward, but he's a big boy. And he's a goal kicker. He's got a real knack for it. They've got Matt Taberner. They've got Josh Tracy. And then they've got Luke Jackson when he rests forward. So plenty of height, plenty of danger in that Fremantle forward line. I think the smaller types in the Fremantle forward line, I'm not as worried because I like the players that we have in our back six or back seven for those matchups, but it's the height that makes me question, is this one of those games where you sacrifice an extra intercept defender in Brodie Kemp and bring in a Lewis Young? So we'll see. Is it a Sam Durden? I don't know. But I do sense it'll be a Brodie Kemp because he probably was a little stiff the week before. Then there is the other element of the Fremantle defence, which I think is probably going to test us more than most of the teams that we've played. Probably up there with Brisbane in terms of the key position defenders that they've got from the teams that we've played. I mean, Alex Pearce has been pretty unlucky in his career, but he's an elite defender. When he's fit, he's an elite defender, and he will give Charlie or Harry, depending on how they match up, a tough game no matter what. Luke Ryan's the other one, really solid defender for them. We're probably fortunate that Brendan Cox isn't playing because he's also a solid one down there. But I think what we're going to see this week, I feel what we're going to see this week is, I don't think Harry and Charlie are going to have it as easy as, not easy, but I don't think they're going to kick as many goals as what they did last week. They might shock me and just show that they're just better than everyone else. But I think we're coming up against high-level defenders in this game. And Fremantle have showed that they're able to keep teams to low scores. They've played in low-scoring games, and I kind of see it being that way this week. Our highest score for the year is what we saw last week, 137. Our lowest points that we've given up for the year is weirdly enough 86, which is quite high. So I expect both to be lower, our highest score this week and our lowest score potentially. I think we might see our lowest score against this week. I look at this as a real tough defensive matchup at the contest. I will obviously confident, and we are in this era where I just go into games now knowing we can beat anyone. There's no one I fear. I don't fear Fremantle. I believe we are the better side if we're playing at our best. However, having said that, that doesn't mean that it's just going to happen. We don't play well at Adelaide Oval, but is that just an Adelaide-based team thing? Not sure. If we dive a little deeper and we look at other potential selection issues, we know that Mark Pitternet had 25 possessions in the VFL, kicked a goal, 19 hitouts. We touched on Brodie Kemp, who had a really good game. Alex Chincotta, interestingly enough, played in the VFL in the midfield, 25 possessions, played a really good game. And the reason why I bring him up is because we are seeing something beneath the senior side emerge. We're trying new things. Brodie Kemp plays the second half in the forward line. Chincotta plays in the midfield. It would suggest that we're trying something new. And the reason why I bring that up is because we know Patrick Cripps is due to be a father any moment, I think any day. Like, I'm filming this on Tuesday. By the time you're watching this, he may officially be a father. But what we do know, and he did mention it last week on AFL 360, is that he will likely be flying up to Adelaide a little later than the rest of the team. And then so that lends the thought of, just because there's a due date, that doesn't mean that things go to plan. It might happen later. So there is a possibility that Cripps won't play. If the baby hasn't arrived and it's game day, it might be a case where Cripps doesn't play this week. And that's fine. I mean, that's also kind of exciting to see what we would do, who would step up. There's a few players that are playing good footy, particularly in the midfield. There's a few players that seem to be playing multiple roles. I think of Matt Kennedy when I say that. You know, he's played a few minutes in the forward line. To me, he looks better as a midfielder than a forward. I think that's naturally the case because he is a midfielder first and a forward probably second. And so there is a bit of a mix and a decision to be made on what that forward mix looks like. And that might also tell you why they're trying Brodie Kemp in the forward line in the VFL. So plenty happening. And I'm just excited to be playing, you know, good footy. But more importantly, I'm excited to be relevant. And I'm grateful to be relevant because we were not relevant for a long time. And I'm not quite at that point yet where I forget about that. And so, yeah, big test this week. But what about you? Like, how do you view this matchup? What is your level of knowledge about Freo and the way that they play? And, you know, some of the matchups that you're thinking of there. And so share your thoughts in the comments. What's your preview of this game? Are you flying up to Adelaide? Are you driving up to Adelaide? Also, if you are somebody who has tickets, who for whatever reason, last minute will not be going to the game, get in touch, preferably on Instagram. That's the easiest way. Facebook Messenger can work as well. If you do want to give your tickets away to Carlton fans who can't find tickets, please let me know and I'll happily get you in touch with the respective receivee of the tickets. And we'll go from there. Chat to you in the comments. Also, let me know about team selection. What would you do? Go Blues.